Oh, well, hello, and welcome to the Success Code Fireside Chats on this amazingly beautiful Saturday. I am so grateful to be here with you. So grateful to be here with my new friend, Karen Joy Fritz. And this week has been a week, y'all. This week has been a week, let me tell you, which is why, I am grateful to be here today. Not everybody wakes up. I'm not starting with darkness, but I'm starting with truth. Um, you know that the Success Code Fireside Chats is all about conscious leadership, um, combining with business and real talk. And we do more real talk than anything else on this show because we want to debunk all the success myths that have been passed down to us for generations. I, for one, am on a mission to break the lies so that people can live in their true authenticity, whatever that looks like for them, and really live a fulfilled life, whatever that looks like for them. Okay, so that is my mission. So I bring people on to join the conversation to share their take on that concept. And I'm super excited that I have Karen here today. And the reason why I'm even more excited to be here is because a friend of mine passed away last Saturday, right? And today I completely feel so much different than I did last week. And the reason why I say I'm grateful to be here is because I know technically he's not here in the flesh, right? And what his life stood for. I made a post on Facebook, and I gave him a tribute, and I mean the outpouring of more tributes towards the same person just flooded my post. And it made me realize that success is not just about a bank account. Success is about how we go through life impacting people, whether it's perceived good or bad. Notice I use the word perceived because in my world, everything works together for good. So it's a perception, right? And I believe that everything works for us, whether it's to teach us a lesson or whatever. And even in the passing of my friend, I was talking to another friend of mine yesterday. I was saying, oh, I wonder what are the lessons in his passing. Now, what if we looked at everybody who, supposedly leaves our lives and look for the lessons for their departure, right? Because there's no one-sided coin. You'll always hear me say that. When you see this side of the coin, you got to flip to the other side, right? And just look for the benefits of things and look for the drawbacks of things, right? That are happening in our world and in our lives. So I'm super grateful to be here today. And Karen has the word joy in her name. So I know we're going to have some joy and fun today because we're going to be talking about the sacrifices of success and the myth of that or not, whatever comes up is what we're going to talk about, right, Karen? I believe that success, that word success, means different things for different people. So I want to welcome to the conversation Karen Joy Fritz. And Karen, I'm going to put you in the spotlight right now just to share briefly about who you are, what you do, and then answer my question of what does success mean to you? What's your definition of success?
All right. Well, thank you, Lorna, for having me here. I really appreciate what you're doing with Success Codes. So I'm excited to even have a small voice in what you're about. I I've done a lot of things, you know? Yeah, I got the gray hairs to prove it. And regardless of what other people may see, there's never been a time when I haven't been successful, right? When I was following the conditioning to go after the corporate dream,
Mhm.
I was successfully following the conditioning. Did I achieve the dream? Some yes, some no,
Hmm.
right? When I was able to start shedding that and say, "Yeah, but what's my idea of success?" They say, "Climb the corporate ladder." They say, even when you're an entrepreneur, as I've been 30 years ago, I took the, graduation package from corporate and have been doing my own thing since. But I was still, in many cases, going after what other people said I should want, and it takes a long time to start unraveling that and saying, "And what do I want?"
Hmm.
And then it's coming from the little me, and then unraveling that and say, "What is the bigger I want?" And for me at this point, success is to be able to be in continual relationship with the flow of what I'm being called to. Right? It's not about me setting some line in the sand or some goalpost and running toward it with all that I've got. It's about being in a state where I can say, in this moment, what's in front of me and what part of me is called forward? How can I interact with this moment in a way that's of service? So
That,
without that preconceived idea, it
mhm.
allows me to stay in relationship with it.
Mm. Girl, you're talking about so many things right there in that statement.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, you just said a lot, a lot, a lot. You actually brought us through. I love how you did that too, right? Because you brought us through this quick uh, um, uh, what's the word am I looking for? It's like a
Evolution,
yes, that's the word. It's a quick evolution of the different stages of how you define success from one spot to the other, right? As you went along and you saw some stuff and you probably got you know enlightened around some things and you let go and shedded some ideas. It sounded that's what it sounded like to me. So you were going through these different phases. That's the word I was looking for. You're going through these different phases of your definition of success. I love that because that just shared with the audience the possibility of being open to possibilities, right? Like it's not just one way, right? And what could another way look like, even if you had achieved that success um, goal that society says success should look like. I know that when I was in Jamaica, and same here, but I know it's not all around the world. It's not success is not defined the same way all across the globe, right? But the American dream was why I came to this country, right? Because success in Jamaica was one way up to a ceiling, and then um, you gotta either know the people or you know sell your soul in my world to get to the next level. So the American dream was the next level of success, right? And then coming here and seeing all the things and getting the experience to go into other areas, I realized it's not the same all across the world. So I love how you shared that the phases of your evolution just now. And I actually really admire the fact that what you said in the end was being present with what success is, what is in front of you right now. That is like such juice. Like it takes something to get to that point, right? Wouldn't you say?
It does, it does, and I'm really clear
Uh-huh.
that success is not always about what's pleasurable or pleasant, right? To be able to sit with one of my adult kids when, you know, their life has just fallen apart and the drama and all that,
Uh-huh.
and to be with them in their pain is not pleasant,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's success.
Right, even in the pain. So this is so perfect because we're talking about the sacrifice of success. So can I just ask you what when I say, Karen, tell me about what that means to you, the sacrifice of success.
I want the t-shirt that says been there, done that. When I started doing the entrepreneurial thing
Yeah,
and was making lots of the monies,
yeah.
I used to tell people, I'm self-employed. I can work any 80 hours a week I want. 80-hour weeks. 80-hour weeks is not good. That is sacrifice. And it was doing things that were way out of my wheelhouse,
Hmm.
right? Not in my zone of genius. And the cost of that money was that I have no memory of my youngest child learning to walk.
Wow.
I wasn't there. And I can never go back and get that. That's sacrifice. I don't recommend it to anybody. Sometimes
Hmm.
money costs too much,
Mm. That's an interesting take on that.
right?
That's an
So,
interesting take. Hmm.
what does it take to recognize, oh, going after maximize the money or the measurables, whatever things you can measure, what is the actual cost of that in terms of what's relevant for my soul? What am I here for?
Mm.
And to come back and say, okay, if my life were actually about doing the things my soul was here to learn, provide, contribute, and so on, and enough of the support systems, money, knowledge, community, all the support systems would be provided through that. What is it that I would really be here to be? Because what I be is my contribution. Every room I walk into is where my purpose happens. Not just, oh, my mission statement for my business is my purpose, but when I walk into the grocery store, am I on purpose? To me, that's where I do that little exchange. I'm no longer sacrificing being me.
Mm. So you again, girl, you always put so much in your your sentences. So based on what you just said, right? Being you, being that, and I love the fact that you said that all the support systems, the support resources, money is a resource, it's a support, right? What do you say to, because you've been a coach, right? You've been a coach, you've been
Yeah.
uh, an entrepreneur, and you've been coached. What would you say to the idea of most, especially the gurus right now? Because at the end of the day, Karen, we get to have money, because when we have money we can do more good. So how do you balance now that conversation of money, right, and purpose, so that we're not, you know people used to say you're so heavenly, you're not any earthly good, right? Being in, so on purpose, that you're not being fulfilling the mission because you don't have the money to do it, right? Every,
Oh,
right now, a lot of things require money, including making a difference
of course.
to people
Yes.
who may not have, or right. So how do you maneuver that for yourself?
Sometimes I've found I need to have a little conversation with my soul, with the higher whatever, because in this place, on this planet, we have time, we have space, we have specific resources like money, and those need to be honored as much as the seasons of nature on this planet so that we can say, if you aren't going to do the earth walk, then don't come to earth. But if you're here, there are constraints. That's part of the game.
Mm,
That's part of the game. And how can I bring heaven on earth?
mm,
Within that game, how do I choose to show up? As
mm-hmm,
I'm making money, what value am I providing?
mm-hmm.
Right?
Well,
So,
you can only quote unquote make the money by providing the value, right?
um, it
What do you
seems
say?
that some people have other agendas
Okay.
and they are able to receive money for a minimal to negative value. They're
Mm.
playing a different part in the game,
And that's a
right? They're
sacrifice too, right? That's a sacrifice as well. Because they're
if
sacrificing something in their beingness, wouldn't you say?
maybe, maybe.
Mm,
There's a book, a children's book called The
mhm,
Little Soul in the Sun,
mm,
where two souls are talking before they come to Earth,
uh-huh,
and one of them says, "I want to learn forgiveness.
mhm.
My sole agenda is to learn forgiveness.
I'm just
Dearest
writing this down.
children,
Okay. The little
in
soul in the
order to do that, I need to have somebody to forgive. Please, would you play the role of perpetrator for me? Do
mm,
you love me enough to play the role of perpetrator?"
wow.
And so in my model, I recognize that those people whose agenda is different from mine
Hmm.
are still beautiful and perfect souls. And it's not, there is stuff going on beyond my ability to comprehend.
Right.
And I trust that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
Geek as I am, head centered person as I am, science based that I love, all of
mhm.
that.
Yeah.
And there are things that are unknowable, and I rest.
Mm,
That means I'm not sacrificing my judgment. I'm not sacrificing my energy to fix something that's not broken. My energy is mine to flow in my role. And I'm sure there are people's stories where I am the walk on perpetrator. And
mm,
there are people's stories where I am the walk on hero or the walk on victim. I play parts in stories I'll never know.
right. Right. We're playing a part in a story right now, just having this conversation, by the way. Just saying.
Right?
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 Because this is
Let
kind
me,
of disruptive in a way, right?
maybe a little,
Mm,
let me always show up
mhm,
in all of those roles
mhm,
authentically as joy, love, peace, beauty, divine intelligence to the best of my human capacity.
mhm.
So I'm always successful in being what I'm meant to be.
So, so, love that. And why do you think then that um, driven women, driven female entrepreneurs chase the success that is costing them so much, costing them the peace? You just talked about it, right? Costing them, you just shared about you missed completely the formative years of one of your children. Uh, why do you believe it? What's in your opinion? What do you think is the reason of the chase? Because you've gone through it, right? So since you've already experienced it, and now you can look back and look at who you were before this enlightened state that you apparently are. I'm experiencing you as right now. Why do you think it's a continuum in our
What
space?
else could they possibly do?
Hmm.
That is all we're
Thank
taught, we're allowed to desire.
mm,
That's like if you're going to be in the work world,
hmm
in the capitalist system, of course you're supposed to desire, optimize, maximize, dominate, hierarchy, be better than, comparison, make more money than, get the promotion over. That's all that's displayed. That's all that's described in our education system, in our marketing messages that we receive, in watching my parents say they want better for me than what they had. Better
mm,
is comparative. They want me to go, quote, further up some ladder. And they gave me the best that they had. My teachers gave me the best that they had of, well, if you just don't talk about these things, talk about this part, demonstrate this aspect, this little facet of your personality is
hmm
what you'll get rewarded for. Show the system what the system rewards. Don't show that and that and that and that and that. Mask it all. Of course, one is going to be driven. Also, in one's 20s, one has energy, estrogen, drive,
hmm
healthy bones and muscles for most people, right? So there's an ability. I went through menopause from hell.
mm,
And in that process, I lost access to that facet of me that society rewards. For me, it was my mind. I just I lost access to words, I lost access to memory. And
really?
who am I if that one thing that society loves me for is no longer available? Now, for a man, it might be strength. For a
hmm
beautiful woman, it might be her beauty, right? For me, I'm a geek. I've always been the smart one. And to lose that
mm,
forced me to look at, oh my God, is that all that I'm valuable for?
girl, so good.
Who am I without that worth marker?
Yeah,
And when I start to come down to, oh, oh wait, humanity is inherently worthy.
yeah,
Being human is successful. A rose is not supposed to grow an oak tree. You just be the best rose you can, thorns and all, right? So when I had no choice to continue to pursue that external identification, I had to come in and say, well, then who can I be? And
mm,
does it matter? Do I matter? Am I worthy even if? And I think that piece allows me then to see, every other human that I interact with and say, oh my gosh, what a beautiful soul.
hmm
Look at the role that soul is playing now. And it's just a role. It's just a character,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Karen, Karen, girl, we need a whole masterclass on this because, again, it's just a role that we're playing in the game. One of the questions I was going to ask you is how does um, how does one then step um, into redesigning their idea around success so that they don't sacrifice themselves any longer, right? But what I hear you saying is that it's an awareness, right? It's an awareness of who they have been, and an awareness that this is not all there is. And so let me ask you a question. When Can you remember specifically when this all started shifting for you? Because again, you said you started out just like most of us who, were chasing that what they told us success should look like. When did it shift for you to realize that, oh my God, this sacrifice is not worth it? I get to find me. And obviously, the me that you're looking for is a journey. You're still on there because there's another version of you that you haven't evolved into yet, right? So when did this
Yes.
start for you to see that this was something that you get to shift for yourself?
I was 27
Hmm.
in corporate. I had gotten my first management promotion, had a team that I was responsible for, and blah, blah, blah. And I looked and I went, I don't want my manager's job.
Mm,
I looked at what my manager was doing and said, I don't want that promotion. I don't want
mhm,
to do what they have to do. Like, oh my goodness, that ambition isn't mine. Right. So that
mm.
was the first little thing.
Ah,
And then
okay.
shortly after, the company offered to pay me to leave. I think we were equally served there.
Perfect example of everything is always working for you, right? Right?
How about that? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I went off with all the energy of, and at that point, a 30-year-old of
Hmm.
I can change the world and I'm going to do it different and I'm going to show them, right? Let me prove I didn't need their money. I'll make my own. And, totally sacrificed body, life, time, all that.
Hmm.
And I achieved what I set out to do at a huge cost. And then I went, oh, this isn't fun. This isn't bringing me joy. This doesn't feel right. Is it worth it?
Misalignment. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Can it be done easier? Then I found coaching. Oh, well, I've been so successful over there. Of course I can succeed in coaching. Let me just go out and conquer the world. Coaching requires marketing oneself. That would be my Achilles heel.
Mm,
I can teach, I can think, I can do all kinds of things, but when it comes to that persuasive copywriting, I
mm.
suck. I just like,
All right, welcome to
no,
my world.
right? Right? Why do I have to go through the
Why do I
thing
have
that
to
I'm
do
worst at to earn the right to do the thing that I'm here
that?
to do?
I know.
WTF, right? So again, I'm looking at it going, wait, this worldview doesn't make sense.
Hmm.
The worldview doesn't make sense. I made up the worldview. I can make up a new one.
You're so good.
Right? And so, like, all right, well, what worldview would make sense?
Right, right,
Me. My worldview is not going to make sense to everybody.
right.
But as long as it makes sense to me, that's what allows me to live in my joy. Joy is
Yeah,
actually a chosen middle name. It's not the one my mother gave me.
yeah.
I gave it to me.
So good. So good.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you were going to choose a value or an attribute that you would want to actually include in your identity to the point of making up a new middle name, what would you choose?
I'll probably choose the same thing because for me, when I did my leadership training at the beginning of it, one of the exercises we got to do was to uh, we actually created our contract, and it's a subconscious exercise, so you weren't really aware of what was happening until the end. And part of my contract is joy. So when y'all see me smiling, it's for real, y'all.
Yes.
Because that's part of my contract. And I had a client who uh, actually made his last name Love. He added, because it's a part of his contract, he added love to his name. So whenever it's a conversation for him, that's marketing actually, because when people see it, they're like, oh, your last name is really Love, you know? So
Right.
for me, it would be actually Joy, which was what attracted me to you as well when we connected, because I saw that your middle name was Joy, and my contract is has Joy full in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we're totally sisters, girl. Uh, so yeah, so I want to encourage, the audience who are here, who are watching this on the replay, who watched the short, whatever you're seeing, wherever you're seeing this, I'm going to encourage you to take that question into consideration for yourself that Karen just asked. Like, what if you had the opportunity, or if you chose to? It's not just an opportunity, right? It's a choice. If you choose to add a name to your given name that is truly you, that would empower you to be authentically you, what would that be? What would that be?
Yeah.
Right? That's going to shift everything for you. I promise that, because it's your choice. It's your, it's your inspiration for yourself. So powerful, right?
Right. So every time I sign a credit card slip,
Uh-huh.
I sign it with joy, right? So my relationship with the
With
exchange system that we live in is a relationship of joy. Do I put it on legal contracts? No, it's not a legal name. It's my choice.
Yeah,
And
but it's still power. It's still power, Karen.
yes,
I don't want people to miss that, right? Because what you just said is really good. It's not your legal name, which is in the system, right?
right?
Right? It's your
Right.
choice, which is the power. One of the Listen, y'all, don't let me go to scripture. I'm a Jesus girl. Y'all know that. Deuteronomy, where it says, I give you life and death. Choose the the biggest, most powerful thing we have in our midst, in this on this planet, is the power of choice. You get to choose. That's this whole conversation of sacrifice. You get to choose, because outside of choice, take the case that you are sacrificing
Right.
yourself.
Well, and what part of me has to
Mhm,
die, has to be left behind
mhm.
in order for me to step out of that sacrifice and into service.
To serve. Ooh, girl, we going to church today. Say that again, Karen. Say it
Well,
again.
the part of me, right,
Mhm,
that has to die in order for me to step from sacrifice to service is the part of me that's attached to what other people have defined instead of what I call my vertical, right? My vertical
mhm,
connection has to outweigh. Other people
mhm,
define success as money. Other people define success as possessions. Other people define success as status or position. The part of me that agrees to that
mhm,
has to die in
mhm,
order for me to realign my definition of success
mhm,
to my vertical,
mhm. Good. That's so good.
right?
That's so good.
Now I can be of service.
Mhm, mhm.
Being more of what already isn't working is not of service.
Right, 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 right. And that's probably the easier way to the money as well, right? Because when when the money realizes, I need to go dig up that video that I did. I did a training about 3 years ago. No, 2 years ago, called the. I need to go dig it up for myself. I did a training 2 years ago on purpose-driven money, and when I did that training, I talked about the idea that money gets to have a purpose. So money flows easier when it knows it's in service, right? Because as you talked about the relationship with the money is what attracts the money, right? Like, so I love that you said that. That just reminded me that I get to go pull that out again.
Right.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
there have been times in my life I've done those exercises. What is your personal relationship with money?
Mhm.
And I've seen it go through, oh, money is my beloved. I pay it attention. I bring it romance. I da 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 da. I'm like, yeah, no, not so much. Well, money is my best friend. Money is my friend. We go places together.
Mhm.
I take care of my friend. I'm there when money needs me. I da 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 da. Like, you know what? Money really doesn't, it's not that big a deal for me.
Mhm.
And I get that I've come to a place of privilege, but at this point, money is my golden retriever, right?
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
adore this pet and they're a pet. When I ask them to go get something, they bring it back to me.
Mm.
Enough. I don't need more than enough. I need enough for the small, gentle, simple life I choose to live that lets me focus on what's important, right? Without a lot of distractions of building up a following and all the metrics and all those kinds of things.
Mhm.
I definitely need money enough to survive. I got to pay the insurance. I got to pay this. I got to pay that. Taxes, insurance. I get it. And beyond that, truly, my physical needs aren't that big. I
Mm.
don't need a palace. I don't need an empire. I have what I need, and I enjoy having it so I don't pretend I need more. Bringing my attention back, I reclaim my attention to be able to focus on that joy.
Mhm. Mhm. Mm.
Yeah.
As you're sharing that just now, Karen, my mind was brought back to a couple of people who are in this world who have a lot of money and who actually give it away. Two people came to mind. One is Keanu Reeves, the actor
Mhm.
who lives a very simple life and gives his money towards um, different charities to build up children. And what's the name of the richest black man in America? I can't remember his name. I'm looking at his face. I think his last name is Smith. He's actually a billionaire, and he gave I believe it was, don't quote me, y'all, go look it up. He gave away. He actually covered the college tuition for about 356 students in one college. Um, so, you know, again, when you, and the reason I'm sharing this with you is everybody has their own idea of what's enough, right? You said you don't need all the things. They may need all the things to make them feel better or to make them think that this is, the status I wanted to arrive at, which is great. And there are people who generate abundance of money because they have the heart to give to other people in a bigger way. I'm just caveating what you said. Does that make
Yep.
sense? Because I don't want
I
people to think that um, it's one way. It's not one way. You get to decide. Keep saying this. You get to decide. That's the whole purpose of the show, right? It's to
Right.
debunk the myth, and you get to create what success looks like for you. You
Yep.
know.
In
So.
in my more energetic days, back
Mhm.
when I was making a lot more money, I was having lunch with a massage therapist and a therapist, and they wanted to create a little group to learn how to do the business end. And the massage therapist said, "Yeah, but I would never want to be one of those millionaires."
Yeah. That
And I
that came
said,
from.
"Well, what do you think that means?" And she said
Yeah.
what she thought. And I said, "You know what? You know what it actually means? It
Mhm.
means that when I write a check to my favorite charity, there's an extra zero on the end.
Mhm.
It makes you more of what you already are."
Are, period. End of story. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's great to have money and to do great things through that vehicle.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it's not the only vehicle. I
Exactly.
am the vehicle.
Yeah.
Literally every room I enter, my definition of success is, how do I serve here? How do I show up in
Mm,
relationship to this moment? Do
yeah.
I make eye contact with the homeless person begging on the street? Or do I
Yeah.
pretend to look away?
They don't even
No, I'm going
exist.
to encounter that moment.
Yeah.
Courageous contact. Do I, when I walk past a group of protesters, do I have to agree with them and their cause they're protesting in order to value the fact that they are protesting? They
Mm.
care.
They care
Right?
about
Somebody who
something.
cares,
It may not be the same thing you care about, but they care about something, right?
right? And the ability to
The
do a
voice.
protest.
To use their
I
voice.
like that. You
Yeah,
don't have to agree
absolutely.
with me.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a level of, we can define success by money,
Hmm.
and it's necessary but not sufficient for me.
Hmm.
Money is this much of my success. I do want to feed myself. I do want to like, be
Yeah. Are you
self-sufficient
not gonna be
enough,
here to be of service? Hello.
right? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not the only thing I care about anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Then there's family and service and community and peace, love, joy, happy, like all these other things that make money's role in my success much less relevant.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. Well, it makes it peaceful, which is one of the questions I want to ask you.
Yeah.
What's one belief that you had to release to experience? Because I'm experiencing you as that peace, as that joy, as that purpose. So, what's one belief that you had to release to experience deeper peace and purpose and joy in your life and your business?
Yeah. I grew up gifted. I didn't create that. It was given to me.
Hmm.
And I was raised with noblesse oblige. The Peter Parker principle of Spider-Man: from those to whom much is given, much is expected.
Hmm.
And I believed it was my responsibility to solve the world.
Hmm.
It was my responsibility to fix everything
Mm,
in society, in an individual's life, in somebody's experiences, take care of their emotional state. Because I was gifted such capacity, I believed I had that obligation and responsibility, which is something that a child will do, right? A child will take on everything around them. I'll fix it for you, mommy, right? I had to give that up
mm,
because I am not God. That's God's role. That's God's job. It's not my job. I cannot, I should not believe it's mine. That was an inaccurate belief given to me. But holy cow, did my identity balance on it.
mm.
If I can't fix everything for everyone, who am I? What good am
Mhm,
I?
mhm.
It's an impossible situation.
And such a
And
burdensome one as well, right? Like that's a huge weight of my experience
crazy.
of it is like negative energy that you can't even lift without
Look
yeah,
at the
that's
foundation. The
yeah,
foundation is things are broken.
yeah.
Excuse me, let me create what God has, let me judge what God has created. Oh, things are broken.
Yeah.
So, as Byron Katie says, who would I be without that belief?
Hmm.
Oh, well, if my worth and value are not based on my ability to solve the world, what are they based on?
Mm,
Which is a terrifying cliff.
yeah.
But if somebody dives off that cliff, they find the freedom of, oh, it's not based on what I do.
Mhm.
My worth, my worthiness, my air that I breathe is not only worth what I do for other people. So without that belief, I'm able to come to a place of peace that says, my worth is, now how do I serve?
Mm. So good. Karen Joy, yeah, lady, you knocked this conversation out the park this morning on this Saturday morning. I mean, this is like I just I could see us doing a masterclass on this because this is such like deep work that you have obviously done and continue to do, right? And
Mhm.
my experience is it's some of the work that people don't even want to think about because they're so focused on everything outside, right? Like, and I guilty, y'all know when I say anything, I'm talking to myself as well, right? I don't talk at you. I'm right here with you, right? So, just knowing that this is the work we get to do, y'all, to unleash ourselves and get
Mm.
unstuck and unattached to um, what we've been taught, but it's a choice. So you can choose to, be miserable, or you can choose to find peace uh, within yourself and transform your impact in the world just because of who you get to become in the process, and have a life that is much more fulfilling, right? I mean, for crying out loud, I used to wonder how somebody like Nelson Mandela, such a successful man, got placed in prison, came out and was still in joy after what, almost 30 years in prison. And I used to wonder about that, right? Like, y'all, think about who he had to become to come out of prison in joy. Yes, they probably gave him, privileged treatment and stuff, but to be locked up and come out in joy. That's just crazy to me. So, Karen, if somebody's listening, what's the one thing you want to leave with somebody who's listening to us today and who is hopefully recognizing from our conversation that they're sacrificing their authentic self, right? Under the guise of success? What's the one question they should be asking themselves to help them shift today?
A good question would be, what do I believe makes a person worthy?
Mm,
Right?
mhm,
Because when that question gets asked again and again, right? It's
mhm,
one of those repeating questions. The answer comes back. It can't be what they do.
mm,
It can't be an ableist definition. It can't be any definition based on that which they are at birth, right? Their race, their gender, their choice of gender, their sexuality, all of those things.
mhm,
Like, it can't make sense for that to be the basis of worthiness.
mm,
And when it's easiest to start by looking outward. What makes a person
mhm.
worthy? And then, oh, that's true for me too.
Yeah.
Because what I know is each of us is absolutely crucial to the overall arising puzzle of this moment, right?
Mm,
All of the circumstances and the people in it and the conditioning and everything for humanity to evolve. Every one of us has this absolutely unique, crucial role to play. Some are highly visible, some will never be in the history books. But if that role's not played, humanity doesn't get to make that step.
mm,
So in order to find that crucial beautiful role that each one of us plays, that you play to unwind what we've been taught it must be
Mhm.
and to find what it is within ourselves. That's the entry, that's the portal. And it's not necessarily a simple journey and it's not necessarily a fun journey, but we can all find joy in the journey.
Yes. Yeah. What I just heard you say is um, everybody matters.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. Everybody
Yeah.
matters.
Your
So yeah.
your unique expression
Mhm.
is absolutely vital
Mhm.
to the world I want to see us create together.
Yeah. Yeah. And the world that we were meant to create together.
I think that.
Right? Because I think that's the whole thing, right? Like we are all expressions of who God is at the end of the day, right? We are different expressions of the way God loves, the way, I mean, for crying out loud, I'm looking out at trees right now that in exchange for the carbon dioxide that I breathe out, they give me oxygen so I can live. They matter. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so to be even present to that is powerful. So ask different questions and realize that you matter, and um, you get to choose. You get to choose. It's a powerful place to be. All right, Miss Karen, this has been an amazing conversation. We are just
Thank
about at the end
you.
of the show today. And I would love you to tell people where they can find you to hear more of this wisdom juice.
In the spirit of simplicity,
Yeah.
my site is KarenJoyFritz.com.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
That's super easy. Thank you for being here, and thank you
Oh,
for
thank
like
you.
opening up the minds of the people who will choose to watch this in its entirety. I would suggest that they do, because you dropped a lot of wisdom here in this conversation today, and I really appreciate that. One of the things that I'm so, and I told you, I'm so bullish on is people who are willing to come on the Success Code Fireside Chats to just give it real, raw, and authentic. It is the way it is. This is my experience. It doesn't get to be your experience, but you get to figure out your experience from my experience, right? So thank you for being that for the audience. And everybody, here's my request: like, subscribe, and share. Because the more people, just imagine a world where if somebody listens to this conversation or any conversations on this channel and they hear one thing that shifts their mind so that they can step into their own authenticity, imagine what kind of consciousness would happen in the world. Just imagine, right? So I'm going to encourage you again to like, subscribe, and share, and come back and be with us next week at the Success Code Fireside Chats. And we love you because I'm committed. I'm committed to be here every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock Central until God says no more. Right? So thank you, Karen, for being here. Thank you all for who were on live. And for those of you who are watching on the replay, please don't forget to go in and put in your comments. I will come back and check and respond to your comments. So make this an amazing, amazing day because you matter. Bye for now.